was that we're only going to allow 25 artists to sell fan art.
Just in case this video goes a little long here on the Clock app, and I repost it to the Tube of Use. Now, for context, OP posted a video, I think, prior to this, about how Dragon Con banned a vendor that sold AI art and pretty much kicked them out of the show. And she suggests in this video that bigger shows like Anime Expo, and I'll add, and she mentions a couple others. I'm going to add Baltimore Comic Con, Otakon, New York City Comic Con, and San Diego, and bigger shows like that should put a limit of 25 spots in Artist Alley that could only sell fan art, period, because it's not their IP. Now, as someone who spoke to Ken Hunt, who is a major artist in the community, he's worked for Marvel, he's worked for DC, he's worked for Disney, he's worked for a lot of the other companies that sell a lot of the popular IPs out there, like Transformers and stuff, maybe like Spawn or something like that. And he does awesome work. And I had a conversation with him in regards to stolen art. And he stated, if I'm remembering correctly, that if someone from Marvel, someone from DC, someone from IDW, who has the rights to Transformers, I think right now, if they came into a show like Baltimore Comic Con, which is a big show, or New York City Comic Con, and they went around to everybody, folks like himself, Billy Tucci, Mark McKenna, and the big names like Jim Lee and Mark Silvestri are kind of exempt from the aspect of fan art because they've worked for these major companies. And yes, they can go after these smaller folks selling fan art, but it's not really worth their time, effort, and money to do that a lot of time, unless these folks are making hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars themselves. So it's not worth their time. That's number one. And number two, if a bigger show, and one of the things that I want to get into briefly, because I don't want to get too deep into this, is that it opens up what that policy that you suggested, OP, if you watch this video, is that, and I don't think you really know about, is that a lot of conventions, especially the bigger conventions, are scummy, not scammy, scummy. They have a lot of scummy practices, and it opens up the door. If a convention like Dragon Con or Otakon or New York City Comic Con or San Diego do what you say, and they start to have these scummy practices that get out. So a lot of the smaller shows, like here in the four-state area, West Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Virginia, four-state Comic-Con, I'm not saying they'll do it, smaller shows will start to do it too. And that is, and I've seen it happen with Baltimore, not the scummy aspect, but let me get into that detail so you can understand my point. Big shows like Baltimore has done it in a way. I've seen four-state Comic-Con here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and Hagerstown, Maryland do it. And they, what four-state does, they put the bigger artists, let's say they managed to get Jim Lee to attend their small little show. Guess what? They're putting him in Artist Alley. Even though he's a big name, and they'll put him with the major guests, but they've put a lot of the bigger artists in Artist Alley, like Ken Hunt and Mark McKenna in Artist Alley. And when it came to shows like Baltimore Comic Con, which I've went more than a half dozen times over the past 20 years, I've seen, and the last one I went to was back in 2019, is they'll have some of the bigger names scattered throughout the convention, but they put like 85-90% of those artists right next to Artist Alley. So there is nothing stopping a convention like Baltimore Comic Con, an Otakon, a New York City Comic Con, or any bigger con, even Galaxy Con, putting those major artists right up to that Artist Alley, classifying their section as Artist Alley, and saying only they're allowed to sell fan art, not those in Artist Alley. And if you're a fan artist in Artist Alley, you can't sell anything but your original artwork. And there's a whole secondary aspect of that. A lot of these folks that do what you claim as fan art may do parody aspects. My buddy George, who runs PND Studio, does parody stuff. He does parody, like he did a parody of the Jaws poster, but it's called Jawa, and it has a Jawa as a parody. And another buddy of mine, Gabriel, he does parody work. He does mashups. It's his own style. It's very detailed, very wonderful. He did a Hellraiser Ghostbusters mashup, and it's very well done. So you're pretty much telling these folks that are doing parody or stuff that can be considered fair use, sorry, you can't be in our show, because it's fan art and we've met our quota. So yeah, does it hurt independent artists like my buddy Dan Noakes? Yeah, but the issue is with folks like him is that he has people coming up to him stating that, hey, I don't read independent artists. I don't read independent manga. I don't do this, or I don't read that much, and they have a stack of Marvel. He gets excuses left, right, and center over the aspect. So even if they did that limit you state, they'll wander down. Those people will wander down to Artist Alley, meet folks like my buddy Dan, and give excuses left, right, and center as to why they won't buy from them. It won't force people to buy from them. They'll just go someplace else and buy it. They'll go to the local shows that will have these fan artists. It'll just drive folks to the smaller shows that will have the independent artists that they're looking for. Yeah, you're going to have some folks stealing stuff. There were folks that said that they were more than qualified, like Ken Hunt or Mark McKenna, to draw a He-Man, a Wolverine, a Superman, a Wonder Woman, a Deadpool. And one person said, I work for Marvel, I work for DC, I'm in essence licensed to do this. And someone else found her work, copied her work, stole it, and sold it at a show. Granted, that person was kicked out, but it will happen no matter what. No matter what. Or you'll get folks in a major show like Baltimore, New York, saying, if that happens, hey, we were licensed. Yet they're not. I see it happening in the 3D printing community a lot right now. There's folks that go to major cons selling 3D printing stuff, saying they're licensed to sell certain prints, certain aspects, but they're not, and the cons don't check. And the bigger cons don't check because, hey, on our system, and if it happens, yeah, they're going to cut it off. So thank you for your time, folks. You made it this far. Links in bio or on YouTube, link down below. Take care.